I'm Dean Regan here with Rich Smith, and today, harmonize your creativity, navigating chaos with Divine Symphony. And what we're going to be talking about today is we're going to be demystifying this idea of symphonic distress, and we'll explain that. It's kind of a musical term that we've come up with, and we're going to be talking about this symphonic distress and how you can begin to waltz your way with more grace in your creativity and tune into your higher power for that creative crescendo. We've got a lot of musical terms this week. We're going with the living in concert with life motif. And finally, we're going to be talking about unleashing practical tools to turn your artistic journey into a spiritual masterpiece. And when we talk about these tools, we'll be talking about them in our inner circle, which we go into after Rich and I have done the opening remarks. We've got folks here waiting to go into the inner circle where we discuss these in depth and how to put these tools into place. Yeah. And with each of these tools, it's not so much learning new tools, but learning ways of finding them, creating a situation where you are using them more and more deeply. And it's always a magnificent vibrational experience. So feel the rhythm of New Thought Tuesdays this week. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, Rich, how are you?
Hey, pretty good. So I'm Rich Smith, the infinite filmmaker. And so I'm going to throw in some little ideas of how this relates to the metaphor of your life being a movie created by an infinite filmmaker too. So anyways, Dean, tell me about the living in concert with life, because that's basically where we got the idea for using music as a metaphor for this show today.
Living in concert with life, which is my brand. Rich's brand is the Infinite Filmmaker. You can contact him at theinfinitefilmmaker.com and me at deanregan.com. The idea of living in concert with life is that this whole life experience is so musical. There's harmony, there's dissonance, there's ease, there's cadence, there's flow, there's distress, there's discord. And we use musical terms and musical metaphors to really relate to how you can use spiritual principles to uplift your life. And sometimes we just use music, like real live music. But in this one, we're talking really about listening to that divine calling.
Yeah.
The divinity within, that music within, listening to it.
Yeah.
And engaging it in a graceful way.
Are you listening to that inner voice? So anyways, the thing that brought this up was the parable of the drowning man. Dean was telling me about this. Dean, you want to tell him what the parable of the drowning man means?
Oh, okay. So this is called the parable of the drowning man. So there's this man who lived by a river, and one day the rains were very heavy and they caused the river to flood, and the man's house was soon submerged in the water. And as the water rose, he climbed up onto his roof of his house, and he was trying to escape this flood, this discord that was coming up all around him. And he sat on his roof, and as he sat there, a rowboat came by. And the people inside shouted, "Hey, jump in, we'll take you to safety." And the man replied, "No, thank you. I have faith that God will save me." And the waters continued to rise. And soon the there was this helicopter overhead. The crew dropped down a rope and called out, "Climb up. We'll airlift you out to safety. Climb up. We will airlift you out to safety." And again, the man declined, saying, "I appreciate it, but I trust that God will rescue me." And so as the flood waters grew even higher and rescue team in a motorboat arrived, they urged the man to come aboard and to bring him to safety. And once more, the man refused, saying, "I have faith in God. I have faith in God's plan. He will save me." Now, tragically, the floodwaters continued to rise, and the man was eventually swept away and drowned. And in the afterlife, he found himself in the presence of God, and he asked, I had unwavering faith in you. Why didn't you save me? And God replied, my child, I sent you a rowboat, a helicopter, and a motorboat to rescue you. You had the opportunities for help, but you chose to reject them. So this is one of those things of where, what are you listening to inside? What are you hearing inside?
Are you listening?
Are you listening?
Are you listening? You know, this parable also serves as a reminder that the divine assistance that comes through different people and circumstances in your life. You know, in my life, I just look for those, what do you call them? The events that happen randomly.
Yes.
Huh?
The apparent signs. Yes.
The signs that aren't coincidences, that it's the infinite intelligence speaking to you and leading you and guiding you to your success or to peace and harmony and joy in your life. And so, you know, the whole idea of what we're going to talk about today is the idea of symphonic distress. Let's start with that, Dean.
Okay,
you
so
symphonic distress.
This is music, so I'm going to talk music. Okay, great. Rich can talk film. I'm going to talk music. Symphonic distress. So you may have an awareness of what a symphony is. There's a lot of instruments. There's a lot of pounding and cadence. There's a lot of quiet. There's a lot of broad. There's a symphony can take a lot of different turns, kind of like from going on a cool, clear pond to going into the white river rafting to being, you know, in the secret tide where you've got all kinds of tides and waves coming over you. So this idea of symphonic distress is that we contribute to our own symphony of life. It's like when a symphony is being composed, that the discord is not bad and the harmony is not good. It's all used in concert with one another. That this flow of the symphony, like the flow of life, the flow of spiritual mind, spiritual thoughts rooted in a spiritual mindset. These are all thoughts that we align for ourselves. Their thoughts, their perceptions. It's a symphony of life. And when there's harmony, there's harmony. And when there's discord, there's discord. And it's not bad and good. It is how we're experiencing our life experience. It's all contributing to the beauty of our life. So when we talk about a symphony of life, a symphonic distress, it's just to recognize that sometimes when I'm in distress, I ask myself, I never ask anyone else this. I ask myself, where is my consciousness right now?
Yeah.
What is my consciousness reflecting? And if it's distress, I recognize that this is just part of what I'm bringing to my experience of life. And there's no need to be feeling disrupted or discordant or feeling like it's not a part of the whole tune. It's all just part of that spiritual perspective that I'm maintaining on this. It's a perspective on the upheavals and the challenges. Getting that perspective brings more joy in the sense of the symphonic experience.
Yeah.
And that's,
so, you know, what you were saying, Dean, is about that we, actually we're creating our life, you know, thoughts that we think and the actions that we take. We're co-creating our life with the divine presence, with the infinite filmmaker. And so with a symphony, when there's discordant, what is it, harmonies or whatever going on, it's the conductor that brings it all together, correct? And to me, with the infinite filmmaker, the conductor is the infinite filmmaker, that divine presence, that divine wisdom that's within each and every one of us that we can tap into, and we can look for this guidance to be able to help us, just like the conductor, you know, works the orchestra, So the infinite filmmaker works our lives in the life movie that we're creating. So, what do you want to live? Do you want to live a horror show of a movie, or do you want to live a love story? And you get to choose, as Dean said, that we are the ones that create it. And with this principle, for me, it's all about going within and allowing that infinite intelligence within you to guide you through your life. So you don't have so many of these discordant events in your life, things that aren't working out the way you want them to. And when you can go within and connect with that infinite intelligence and listen to that still small voice and follow through with that, then whatever that guidance is, and not push it away, but yet embrace it, then your life starts to what I call unfold in perfect order, in the way that it was meant to unfold according to the infinite filmmaker. He has a vision in your mind for your life as perfect, whole, and complete. And when we surrender to that, when we allow that to take place in our life, things just unfold perfectly for us, because we're living the life, not that we're creating or the screenplay that we wrote, but it's the screenplay that the infinite filmmaker wrote for the movie of our life, which is perfect, whole, and complete. And so I could ramble on about this forever, but I'll turn it over to Dean.
Well, but your mindful choices. You're talking about mindful choices.
Yeah.
Mindful choices. And we'll talk in the inner circle about making these mindful choices and what folks find works for them as far as spiritually being mindful and making mindful choices. Because mindful choices are all part of divine universal intelligence. Like that divine conductor represents the infinite wisdom and the intelligence that it underlies and expresses as the whole universe. It's the source of all knowledge, all creativity, the order. This is that divine power. And even as I'm talking about this kind of symphonic awareness of divinity, the universal intelligence feels like it guides me. It guides me in identifying that life is unfolding in perfect harmony, even when there's sense of a discord, that there's this symphonic life experience. You wouldn't want to live just a very quiet, very gentle, very soft. It's like, we're going to do this for 35 minutes. We have the opportunity. I wouldn't want to live that way. Maybe you would. And if you would, more power to you. I enjoy the symphonic components, that alignment with purpose where I'm digging in the human experience to experience and express something that is spiritual. Much like the conductor ensures that each instrument plays a part in the harmony of the whole, we, as our own divine conductor, engage our individual paths. We engage them for this greater purpose. That symphony alludes to the greater purpose. The harmony, the discord is just the road that we're taking and the choices that we're making. Just the road that we're taking and the choices that we're making. It helps us to recognize this unique role that we play in our expression of life.
Yeah. Are you listening? That divine presence, it's meditation and prayer. Prayer is when you're speaking to God, divine presence, and meditation is when you're listening. So let's talk about that, Dean. Let's talk about some of the processes that you can use in order to make this discordant harmony more coordinate. Is that the word?
More that you're going to make the discord. When you have a choice that, this is a discordant experience, sometimes diversity can feel like discord.
Yeah.
And there's going through this diversity to understand the order and the harmony. So I may experience a sense of discord, but as I move through it, I find that there's a sense of divine harmony. Divine order that is going on here. And prayer, like you were saying, prayer is a way of speaking to God, meditation, a way of listening, visioning, a way of listening to God, visualization, a way of expressing and speaking to God. These are, they are the basics, but what we're going to talk about in the inner circle is identifying this symphonic distress and how we can even more deeply use our spiritual practices to align ourselves in a symphony that we are composing, in a film that we are composing.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that in the inner circle. But, prayer, what is prayer? Prayer to me, it's like a director's when he's quietly reflecting before making a decision on a film set. In times of this symphonic distress, it often occurs in moments that we're connected with the infinite filmmaker and we see clarity and wisdom and guidance. It's a way to request assistance in orchestrating the chaos into more of a harmonious narrative of the movie of our life. And also, in what is prayer for you and using
I love how you say request assistance, because I believe that all prayer is good, and there's some of these prayers that it's like, oh God, help me. This idea of requesting assistance, there's a grace to it, there's a musicality to it. I see prayer like this fine little ditty that you launch into the music of your life to bring you to the next measure, to bring you to the next section of your life, that this music begins to demonstrate musicality instantaneously. As we express in prayer, the music of that prayer expresses that gratitude, that set intentions, and the clarity the instant that the prayer is launched. So from a musical standpoint, that's how I see prayer. What about meditation, Rich?
Well, meditation, it's kind of like a director in the editing room where he's allowed to step back and look at the movie, the chaos, and then find an inner stillness within that. It helps to discern the underlying patterns, within the chaos. Much like editing helps you weave disparate scenes into more coherent story. And in the same way that when we meditate, we can take this disparate scenes that we're seeing in the movie of our life as we're viewing our life, and we can turn them into a more coherent story. We can, through meditation, we can be still, listen to that still small voice within, and allow the infinite to speak to us and guide us in the next direction so that we can take this chaos in our life, or these things that aren't working the way we want them to work, or the way we imagine them to be, and to create more harmony in our life so that they are that. The power that we have when we connect with what I call the infinite filmmaker, so that you can live, in concert with life. There's a tremendous power there, and that we can access it. It's the power for good. It's not the power for evil. It's the power for good that we can use to bring more goodness into our lives. And so, meditation, it's like what, Dean? What is it like?
Well, I see meditation as kind of that silence in the score. Yeah, I mean, people have heard perhaps about the idea of the grand pause, where there's a big break in the score. Well, there are little breaks in the score, and meditation is kind of like those silent moments, those silent notes, because there's just a break where you're listening to what's resonating. You're listening to, in a grand pause, the whole orchestra is allowed to, all of the orchestration is allowed to relax. And you get to take all of that in. It's a very musical and emotional experience. That's how I see meditation, just adding to that symphony of our life. The stillness, where one finds a break, a pause, the inner peace, and also gets a sense of, okay, there's anticipation of what's coming up next, what's coming up in the music next. There's this anticipation. I love that. And Mr. Smith, we have tons more to say about this. I know that, but we're coming up well past our time. I think we might well be going into the inner circle, if that's okay with you, sir.
Oh, yeah, that's great. When we get in the inner circle, we're going to talk about some of the spiritual practices like gratitude and mindfulness that you can use in order to create more harmony in the movie of your life or in the concert of your life. Yep. So How do we get into the inner circle, Dean? I
Hey,
guess we
if
go
you
to
want
New
to be
Thought
part of
Tuesday.
the inner circle, go to newthoughttuesdays.com. Go to newthoughttuesdays.com and click on I want to be reminded. We'll send you a couple of gentle emails to give you the link so you can get into our Zoom room and join us in the inner circle. I'm looking forward to this conversation. That's how you can join us. Welcome to New Thought Tuesdays. We've got Rich Smith here at theinfinitefilmmaker.com and Dean Regan here at deanregan.com, bringing you love and light and sending you much, much love.
So we'll see you next Tuesday or
Next
in the inner circle.
Yep.
Okay. Take care. Bye.